Hey, I'm gonna put that down now. Whoa, it's early. I got up at 6 and I was gonna do a thing. So I'm gonna explain that thing, okay? Cool. So a lot of you may know the guy called PixlPit. He does those things with the cube people. They look really nice. Yeah, that guy. So he made a model of me a while ago, sometime last year, and I was gonna return the favor and make a model of him in real life. I was supposed to do it in May of last year. Fuck. So I'm gonna walk you through the process of making a PixlPit puppet. So the first step of making like a puppet of any kind is basically figuring out how the hell to make it. And to do that, you gotta plan. So Robin, PixlPit, was gracious enough to give me some reference photos of like his model and stuff, so that I could work off of those. And basically, the general shape of his character is a giant cube on top of a very small body. So what I decided was I got a few of these wooden cubes. They're 2 by 2 inches, so it's 2 inches. That's 2 inches. And then there's 2 inches, and it's 8 cubic inches, okay? Math. Anyway, I was scaling everything with the puppet proportionate to the head being 2 by 2 by 2 inches cubed. That means it's a very small puppet. In relation to the normal size of my puppets, which is like, this. It's like 8 inches tall. Head, this big. 2 inches tall, and then the body. It's the body. It's the whole body. So another problem this gives me is this puppet's gonna be very top heavy, and also I'd say this is pushing the boundaries of too small for the way I do, feet and screwing into the table. So what I'm gonna have to do with this is make an itty bitty armature for this, and have the screw be in his back so he's like on a rig, and then if I ever wanted to animate that, I'd have to like erase it in Photoshop later. So that's gonna be fun. I just think it'll be better than trying to make tiny screws go into his feet and then making his feet all huge. I think you'll agree. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I have 3 cameras now. This one's for behind the scenes stuff. So essentially what I'm gonna do is cast his head and his hair in a resin called Smooth Cast. Get into more of that later. And then his body is actually going to be cast in silicone, so it can move around, but also won't be made of felt. We'll get into that later too. And then his clothes, I'm actually gonna make itty bitty shirt and pants. Basically what I've done is sculpted a cube, as I showed you, with hair on top. And you saw it was in like a weird kind of thing that had weird spikes on it and stuff. That's part of the molding process, and we'll get into that right now. Also with the body too. Yay. So I guess now would be as good a time as any to explain exactly what I'm doing here. And basically, the kind of mold I'm going for is a 2-part mold. Now, first of all, if you're not familiar with what molding and casting is, it's basically you sculpt a thing, you pour stuff over that thing, that stuff hardens, you take the original sculpted thing out, you pour some other stuff in, and then you take that out later and you got a replica of the thing you sculpted. And right now I have the pre-mold, I guess, of the hair and the body. And the hair and the head is going to be a silicone mold, which is the stuff I'm going to be using is Smooth On Umu 30, which is basically a molding silicone from smoothon.com. I'm not sponsored at all. That's stuff used for essentially making molds is what I'm doing. That's what it's for. Anyway, that's all the basics of molding and all the materials I'm going to be using. So what I'm doing here is a 2-part mold, which is basically it's going to be, you know, part, like 2 halves covering the sculpts. Actually, I have some over here. Let's go. Oh boy, look at this. I used Legos for the walls of this. It's this, see? Looks like a big block, but if you open it up, whoa, it's a negative of a face. I forget whose face that is. It might be Olin Rogers' face. This was made of clay originally, like this, right here. There's spikes here now. I'm using a bit more defined interlocking system. So what essentially you do is build up like to a halfway point. This isn't really a halfway point because I'm going to be doing something with this cube and this hair to make it work. But essentially you build up to the halfway point of the sculpt. You have a hole where you're going to pour in the stuff. Basically just with, I don't know, any tool that has an end, you rub in some holes. They're not really holes, they're just, I don't know, there's a name for them, but I just call them holes. And then essentially what you do there is once you pour the umu over the clay, you get the negative. And once you flip it over, put like the release agent, because I have a secret, then you pour over more umu, and then you pull out the sculpt of the head, and you put them together, and then they lock together really well, and they don't slide around because obviously they're interlocked with things. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. Mold time. Ow. Waiting for the glue gun to be hot. Hurry up. Come on, please. There's a spider on the ceiling. Hi, spider. Why are you on my ceiling? Go away. Are you warm yet? No? Okay. Who can be as bad as one? It's the loneliest number since the number one. Oh, fuck me. Fuck. Shit. You good? You good. Whoa. Ow. How did I do that? Obviously it's not dry yet, you ass. Oh no. One more side. Blip, 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 blip. Hey. So I'm almost ready to do the thing with the silicone, you know, pouring it in, mixing it in, pouring it in. Actually just mixing it and pouring it in. You don't have to pour it in twice. But yeah. First I did all that. The only thing left to do now is, if you could see inside there, the clay is not flush with the sides, and that means it'll seep down into the paper. Don't want that. So, what I gotta do, sculpt around the edges, make sure they're flush with the sides, and also maybe sculpt clay all the way up on the corners, just so it doesn't like seep out through the hot glue, because I don't think hot glue is that great. It's pretty good, it's not that great. But yeah, first we're gonna do that, and then we'll be ready to pour some purple stuff in it. So I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret, okay? Originally, what I was gonna do for this mold was make the walls out of Lego, so I could, you know, build it up, wall by wall, brick by brick, and then once I got to a certain point, sculpt to the edges of clay. Also, the Lego thing is not my idea, my original idea. I got that from somewhere else. I stole it from a book. so don't think I'm some kind of genius. But yeah, turns out didn't have enough Legos. As you can see over there, that's what I was using. So I had to go with wood just now, and the deepness of the wood makes it kind of difficult to sculpt the edges without messing up the mold a little bit. And by that I mean the sculpt of the hair. Luckily I managed to do it good enough without screwing everything up royally. And there you go. Good enough! Time to pour the silicone. Also, side note, if you're gonna do this with silicone mold, silicone doesn't like sulfur-based clay. Use clay that doesn't have sulfur in it. It's gotta be good clay, otherwise your silicone will hate you. Anyway, back to this thing. God damn it. So essentially with all smooth-on things, it's basically like 1-to-1 ratio by volume, so it's like half of this one, half of this one's part A and part B. I think it doesn't matter in this case because I'm not doing anything with them, but I think you put B at part A. I'll put it on the screen if I'm dumb. Okay, time to mix these together in a thing. I got my mixer stick. Go. It might take a while. This is why I'm using gloves, because getting this on your hands is bad. Gotta stop, man. And part B time. Look at it's pink, it's great. Now this one's blue. Yeah, here you go, buddy. I didn't mix them. Whoops. We're gonna hope I didn't fuck it up. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna mix this a bit. What should I use? Do I have a dowel? I have a dowel. That's better. Mixing time. You gotta mix them together and it starts a chemical reaction. Look at that. You gotta get at the sides too. It's mixed. Now we pour. Ooh. He's drowning. I might need to mix more silicone. That is, it doesn't look like it's gonna cover his head. It takes like 6 hours for this stuff to cure, so I got time. His hair is sticking out. Ew. More mixing. More pouring. Whoa. I still need more. Yes, it's working. Yeah. So as you can see, he is fully submerged in the purple goo. That'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah. So fully submerged in the purple goo, and then once that cures, it'll be like elastic and rubbery, but not too elastic. Also, if you're noticing here, all the air bubbles are coming up, and that means good things, because that means your mold won't have air bubbles and your cast will not have lumps all over him. But it's not perfect. Usually it could still kind of be hard for all the air to get out as it's curing, so what you gotta do is bang on the table. And there you go. It helps to get the bubbles out, and it'll just be all around much better. So that's how you do that. Now we wait 6 hours for it to cure. Be back then. Soup's on! Look at that. Look at that clay. Gotta get you out of there. I'm gonna save you for use later. Yeah! Okay, that's the first half of the 2-part mold done, as you can see. Look, it made holes! Oh my goodness, the prophecy or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, next step is making the second half. In order to do that, I'm gonna do the exact same thing, but first, what I said before, since silicone sticks to silicone, you need a release agent. I don't have a release agent. I got this though. This This isn't a secret either. So what you gotta do is just paint a thin layer of Vaseline on every single surface, as you can see right here. All that, all in there. And then when you pour more silicone on, it won't stick to itself and it'll be just a second half. You gotta keep it thin though, because if you make it too thick, then the brush strokes show through and it kind of affects your mold's integrity when it comes to, you know, fitting together properly. That's all I gotta say. Let's do it. See, the great thing about this stuff is that once it cures, you can literally just peel off to bits. This is good. And that's it for this mold. All we gotta do now is, you know, wait another 6 hours for the second half to cure. I thought it might be fun to like actually do it in real time and stuff, so we're just gonna wait here for a bit, you know. Just talk. Have a good time. And it's done. That's the bottom. I get the hair out now. Yeah. Look at that. It's beautiful. Okay, so the mold of his hair is done. Now to move on to the mold of his actual cube head, which isn't actually going to be a cube head, and then his body. And I'm going to do those molds off camera because you've already seen the process of one of those molds. It's just exactly the same over and over, so there's no point in showing it 3 times. Okay? Be back when that happens. Also, I've gotten a haircut since the last time I turned this camera on. Anyway... Okay, the molds are done. Time to cast with plastic. So as you can see from the head mold, I remembered to put in a hole for where I can pour the plastic. But for the hair, I forgot. So now I'm kind of worried that once I pour the plastic resin on the top of it, that it'll seep down into the bottom and then kind of ruin the shape of the top. So what I might do is actually drill this through and then put a screw in so it's like snug and that won't happen. So I'm gonna do that. Okay. Shit. It's ready. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, well, there we go. It started to cure. Crap. See, that's how fast it's already turning to plastic. Oh no, I fucked it. Well, only thing left to do now is wait for it to completely dry. Yeah, you can see. Oh jeez. It's already plastic. And it's really hot. Well, I gotta do that again. Shit. So on my second attempt to cast the hair in plastic, upon demolding, it broke into 4 pieces. Which is not the worst thing that could happen, because they can all be glued back together. But then, when I went to cast the head, the block of wood that I was using to hold the place of the hollow part got encased in the plastic. So I just hollowed out one of the cubes, which is what I meant to do in the first place, but I was going to do the plastic. I probably should have just done this first. Anyway, now let's do the armature. So after that debacle, I decided to cast the body off camera, just so I didn't have to cut out so many fuck-ups. That was the only thing I got right on the first try. There you go. That's the body. It is itty bitty, cast out of EcoFlex silicone. Is squishy. And also, what I did was, it's just a little wire armature inside, as you can see on the screen right now. And then in the back is just some wire, so I can attach him to a stop motion rig, and then he can actually stand because his legs are way too tiny. So that's all the hard stuff out of the way, as far as molding and casting goes. That's the hard stuff to me. Now all that's left to do is paint stuff and put everything together. So let's do that. Okay, so the PixlPit figure is finally done after way too long. Another thing that happened that kind of sucks is once I put the head and the hair on, the wire couldn't really hold him anymore. He's still too top heavy, even with his head hauled out. And also, the wire in his body doesn't really work too well because the arms are too short. So really, instead of a stop motion puppet, it's kind of more just like a glorified PixlPit figure. Which, I mean, I guess is okay. It still came out pretty well regardless of any negatives about it, but if anything, I learned stuff. And how? Well, I kind of already knew. I kind of already knew that this would be a bad idea in real life. Robin, your head's too fat. Why do you do this to me? But yeah, so I'm still pretty happy with it regardless. It was a fun experiment into doing a different character design. His head still kind of works, but not if you hold him by the body. If you hold him by the body, he can't hold up his head. It's poor little baby man. Anyway, that was building a PixlPit. And I hope you enjoyed this roller coaster of a ride of terrible mistakes and anguish. Anyway, thanks for watching and take care. Bye-bye.